Hi everyone and welcome to the first video of MBA interview preparation series. There is so much ground to cover on this topic that I'll have to create multiple videos which will follow and be added to the description box as soon as they get made. This particular video will concentrate on the different kind of questions that are asked in IIM interviews. And just to introduce myself for those who are new to the channel, my name is Shweta. I graduated from IIM Ahmedabad in 2020 and I made this channel to share information about CAT, IIMs and skill building. I have appeared for all the IIM interviews and I have also cleared all of them except Bangalore, so I can share a thing or two about what to do in an interview and also what pitfalls to avoid. I am pretty certain that there are going to be some CAT aspirants watching this video as well, and not only MBA interview aspirants. So I've tried to create content that is evergreen. It may come in handy the next month, 6 months later, or even a year later. The six type of questions that are asked in an IIM interview, and the same can be extrapolated to all other B school interviews as well, in the order in which they are asked are introduction and follow-up, trick questions, academics and work experience related, value based or hypothetical, current affairs and GK based, and any other questions that you may have. As you can see, the color and the length of each of these columns differs and there is a connotation attached to it. But before that, let me tell you what they mean. The interviews generally begin with the introduction of the candidate, and as a follow up, the interviewers ask questions around the academic background, institute that you would have studied from, your hometown, hobbies, or even VAT related questions that you might have attempted just a few minutes before the interview. This sometimes gets followed up by a trick question. Not all the time, but especially when the interviewers are trying to create a stress environment. For example, in my IIM Indore interview, I was asked to look at the wall behind the interviewers and mention a movie or an incident where a wall made a significant appearance. The next one is pretty straightforward. Here you will be asked questions on your academic subjects and also on the projects you undertook during your work. Then come the value based or hypothetical questions like why do you want to do an MBA or where do you see yourself 5 years down the line, and they often test soft skills and hence are also called as HR questions or HRQs. Current affairs and GK based questions are self explanatory, and the last column is of any question that you may have for the interviewer regarding the institute or otherwise. Now that you're clear with the basic type of questions, two critical elements that become important here are the length of the boxes and the color of the boxes. The length denotes the duration for which each of these aspects is going to get discussed during the interview. So, as you can see, academics and work experience, current affairs and GK based, and introduction are going to constitute the most part of your interview. And the color of the boxes denotes the critical importance of these aspects in helping you clear the interview. The green colored boxes denote opportunities for you to drive the interview in the direction you want, and hence these kind of questions can be prepared well in advance. The yellow colored boxes are opportunities for you to impress the interviewers, and here there is no right or wrong answer, but if you are able to answer them appropriately, you'll definitely get some brownie points. The red colored boxes are the danger zone where you cannot screw up because you'll be expected to know the answers to these questions when you get asked during the interview. Now, even though the length and the color of the boxes remain similar across the different B school interviews, IAMs certainly vary between each other. And basis my own experience, I have tried to denote the emphasis that they lay on the different aspects by using stars. So, for example, if you check out this distribution for IIM Ahmedabad, more emphasis is laid on academics and work then the current affairs and GK based questions, and finally introduction. Whereas in IIM Bangalore, the split is more balanced towards introduction, current affairs, and some questions around academics and value based types are also asked. I have recorded the observation of the other IIMs as well, and basis the calls that you get, you can check this out after your result and prepare accordingly. Now that you know the theory of what kind of questions exist, let's move on to the practical aspect of understanding how to prepare for them, which will include three things. First is the priority order. Certainly, GK and academic based questions hold the most importance, but you should start with GK because that has more ground to cover, whereas academics or work ex will still be limited. Next comes the introduction, wherein you can put in a lot of effort to frame what you must include on your introduction and also prepare for the follow up questions. And finally, you will prepare for the HRQs or the value based questions, for which we follow a three-step model, which I'll be sharing in a separate video. The second aspect is how to use the resources that exist out there. One of the resources that I created for the interviews was called a repository of questions. This repository contains questions around hometown, hobby, tricks, institute related, GK, HR, witty responses, and VAT related questions that were asked to the students across the different years. I collated these responses after checking Quora and Pagal Guy, and I've tried to segregate them basis these different topics on the blog itself. I'll add the links to all these topics in the description below. You can check out the questions basis your own requirement. And apart from that, also we have other resources that I'll now mention basis the categories we discussed earlier. That is GK, a CAD based introduction, and HRQs. For GK, you can do two things. First is to read the editorials, one of a normal newspaper and one of a business newspaper. I used the Hindu and the Mint newspapers. Second thing you can do is to make a list of all the important events that took place in the last 2 years, because generally the current affair questions asked are fairly recent. For academics, pick up three courses that you really like and three courses that are of paramount importance under your course. For example, I was a BCom honors student, and for us, taxation and accounting are of paramount importance. So make sure you revise the important concepts of these courses. Now, people with work experience are not going to get a lot of questions on academics, and even if there are questions on academics, they will not be judged very critically on them, especially if the work experience is more than 3 years. You are supposed to take a note of your roles, projects, your contributions, some significant achievements about your clients, and the tools you used and the skills you gained during your work experience. For introduction as well as HRQs, there is a simple model that we follow and a structure to frame the answers to these questions, but I will share them in separate videos. For now, what you can do is to think of the significant moments of your life or the things that you would want to get asked as follow up questions after you have shared these responses. The final point is regarding the fear that I don't know anything at all and there is so much to cover. So, when I started my preparation, one of my biggest fears was that the interviewers can ask me anything under the sun. How am I supposed to prepare all that just in a couple of months? After having crossed that bridge and also having met a lot of people who have been on the other side, let me tell you that you're not required to know everything, and you will always be short of something that the interviewers ask you and you don't know the answers to, which is perfectly acceptable. In fact, in my IIM Indore interview, I don't think I knew the answer to more than two questions that they asked me. I still cleared that interview, and I will share separately how I did that. For now, just create a list of questions that bother you the most and get them clarified as soon as possible in the comment section. I would be happy to reply to your comments and any concerns that you may have regarding your preparation plan. And if you're worried about your profile, I would recommend going through the last video and especially the comment section. You'll see how inspired the members of the channel are and how willing they are to give their best no matter what the odds. I also saw a lot of new subscribers the last 2 days. I think the video is trending right now. So if someone is new to the channel and is watching the video, welcome on board. Feel free to connect in the comment section. Thanks again everyone for watching the video.